What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. So I just came back from a driving the car around, just getting it like, exercised, I guess, because it's been sitting for most of its life. So I'm just trying to get it used, get the juices flowing again. And I noticed initially when I got the car, it was smoking, like it has like a white smoke that kind of opened, I thought like I had a blown engine already. But upon further testing at Saki Bomb, they think it's just kind of like oxidation. Like I think it just kind of collected in like the exhaust system or something like that. They think it's because we tested the compression. It's like it's not blown or anything. So knock on wood. It's just I think it's just really it's been sitting. And then we did the whole service. Like I told you guys, we're gonna go through it line by line here. Right now, I started it from cold. It doesn't smoke anymore. So I don't know. I think it's just good for the engine to be exercised, to be working, to be moving. I haven't redlined it. I don't trust it yet to do that because I still have to work on the fuel system. And Saki Bomb suggested don't hammer on it just yet until we go through that fuel system, make sure nothing bursts, no lines are compromised. So I'm trusting them. I'm gonna be careful with it. I basically don't pass 5,000. Like I don't hammer the gas. Is what I don't do. I ramp up the RPMs, but I don't pedal to the floor type stuff. I don't do that. I'm gradual with it, and I'm being very careful. So basically, we're just trying to revive somebody that's been in coma essentially for hella years. It's been run for like 900 miles a year, but I don't know what kind of driving that was. It's probably super soft driving, which is not good for the engine really, and not good. It has to be like a little bit, get some stress into it a little bit. So let's go through what's been done here. It's gonna be sorry for the small font because the printout is kind of small. So this stuff above here, as you can see, this stuff here are suspension related things. So I could have skipped this part all the way up to here. I could have skipped those things. But the car is 30 plus years old now, and the stock suspension is old. We inspected it, and the like some bushings, like the control arm bushings, was worn. We had to replace those. Those were the pillow ball stuff here, and what they had to do was remove the control arms to press the new bushings into it. So basically, you're disassembling the suspension anyway. So basically, while they're in there, I don't want to put the old suspension back. So because that's kind of like, it's kind of silly, right? Because it's 30 plus years old. I don't want to put old stuff back on there when they're already removed. They're going to remove the whole thing to work on the control arms. So they were running a sale. Luckily, it was Black Friday. They did like a 10% off. I went ahead and add the Olins to it at that time. So that was the big ticket item right there. And the labor to do it and all that stuff. So that kind of bumped up the price of the service. Like majority of it is basically because of this suspension work. But I believe like on my bikes, like I believe on great suspension setup. Like if you set up your suspension on anything, on any vehicle, even a Jeep, like it just kind of enhances it just enhances the feel of the vehicle. Like it's just, I don't know what else to say. It's plainly just that. So you'll always get your investment back on suspension if you work on your suspension. So I didn't want to skimp on it. So that's like get it dialed down and get the best one. So there it is. So we addressed the main problem that I brought it in there for, which is the cooling system that failed. They replaced the lower radiator hose and also a whole new radiator, which is the Koyorad. Can't really see it from here. It's actually, you can see it from, it's like a angled mounting system on the stock FD. It's like a little bit like this. It's under there behind the AC condenser. So yeah, we did that. We flushed all the system. We did a new coolant. What else did we do? Bleed the cooling system, remove and replace AST. So the AST thermostat housing hose, AST to radiator hose. So there's some accessory hoses. So the AST, when the car kind of, let's say, overheated, it kind of did, this one built up so much pressure that it burst in the seam of the housing, and like pressure like went out this way. So it's like 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 a steam, like a pressure cooker essentially, and that's kind of prompted me that like the car is overheating. So we had to replace that and whatever accessory hoses related to that based on the receipt here. That's the air separator tank, AST to the radiator, AST to thermostat housing, coolant, new coolant. We did 20W50 engine oil. So the 20W50 engine oil is what people are recommending, or just majority of people after years of knowledge with this car, they say 20W50 is the thing. The Mazda RX-7 owner's manual calls for 10W30. I understand. That's basically good for most weather, like for the most weather temperatures. It's a thinner oil than the 20W50. I live here in NorCal, Sacramento area. It gets hot in the summer, right? And the car tends to be a hot running kind of just hot, and the car doesn't like it when it gets like that. That's why I have the hood open after I drive. Like a exotic car, like when I have the F430 and the Gallardo, I always open the engine bay just to let it kind of air out. It just doesn't like heat. So the 20W50 doesn't break down as fast as a 10W30, I guess. And when it gets hot, it has more of a body, it's a thicker oil. So that's kind of like the logic to that. So I guess I don't mind. So there's that. The Denso oil filter is a taller oil filter. A stock OEM FD filter is like shorter, like this. So you used the bigger one, the longer one, and then the labor to do that. Remove an engine oil filter. Redline MT90 is the transmission gear oil. Replace that. 75W90 is the differential gear oil. Replace that too. We did the brake and clutch flush, fluid flush, and that's ATE Type 200 brake fluid. We did the compression test and inspection, so that's kind of like just checking over everything. Remove and replace spark plugs. We did the spark plugs too, spark plug set. They tested the cooling system, pressure testing, any leaks. The FC fan switch is the fan switch for the FC, which is the second generation RX-7. I was told that one turns on at a sooner, basically sooner than the FD one. So I guess it makes the fan kick in sooner, so that it's safer for the engine. It's nicer for the engine. I don't know why the FD would be designed to kick in later, but I don't know. So we had that installed there. That's actually a common mod, like that's been around for a while that people knew, to do. It's just now that it was done here. And a new coolant temp sensor. Remove and replace fan switch labor. We threw in an air filter in there because we were already in there. I just told them to hey, just throw in a new filter. It's like a paper filter, not a K&N fancy one. And that's the labor. So all of this amounted to $9,300. But like I mentioned before, if I didn't have the suspension work, which if I delayed the suspension work, I would estimate it to be $66,000 something, right? I'm just doing rough calculations in my head. I think that's like 6,000 something. That's basically about the same as when I took my GT3 997 GT3 to my mechanic here to get looked at, basically get me a baseline service as well. So basically the same situation, although nothing broke on the GT3. I just wanted a baseline service. It's basically the same. So all this to say is basically what I'm trying to get at is if you're looking for an RX-7, right? This is a 30,000 mile RX-7, which is local to me in California here. It hasn't been in, bad weather, or it hasn't been stored outside. This is a one owner car parked and just basically babied, right? This whole life until it got to me and I did this service, right? So if you're gonna use this as a reference point, this is I still had to do this at for an FD that's been not really taken care of, because clearly it's stuff still aged out. It's still very clean, right? Everything is still good. It's just that the engine and the thing is just, they did the bare minimum, I guess, to take care of it. So, but it's still not dirty, not clean. It's like one of those weird things. It's like it's not bad, but it's also not good. It's like in between a bad and a good. So I don't know how to explain it. So if you're looking for an RX-7 that's like 100,000 miles, it's stuff probably have been fixed already. So it's a low mileage FD is not really a safe haven type stuff, is what I'm trying to get at here. It makes you feel better that yes, on the dash it says 30,000 miles, but that's not a license to, like, once you get it, you hammer on it, So like, it's not a brand new car anymore. So even if everything is fine, let's say the guy is still alive, the previous owner is alive, and he took care of it, and he says that, I still personally cannot trust him to, like I still cannot trust it. I still would have done this service, and I would have still done it. Told Saki Bumto, like, hey, just go through it and let me know what it needs. That's basically what this is. So I'm still gonna do that, just to be sure that I have data, I have a hard like evidence here that it's been done. It's good to find lower mileage cars, but you're paying a lot for that. You're paying a lot for the low mileage cars. So don't be scared of the higher mileage one for a little bit less money, because those might be in better shape, you know. So basically the initial purchase, right, is a little low. So for the higher mileage car, but when you get it, even though you paid a little bit less, and then you have to spend a little bit, maybe you spend the same as I did. At the end of the day, you still spent less than me. So, but I guess the nuance now is, like, we're battling in condition here. So it's gonna be hard to find a higher mileage FD with this condition nowadays. I was lucky when on my first FD back in 2012, 2011, I think. I bought it for $10,000, and it didn't need any body work. It was still shiny black, brilliant black. It's still shiny, no dings, no scratches. It's just a really pristine FD, 100,000 miles on it. It didn't need a rebuild. There was no evidence of a rebuild or a receipt. The owner doesn't even know anything about RX-7s. They probably did not premix or anything. That knowledge of premixing was not, like, widely known back in the day. I think it's just some people knew about it. And that was fine. My FD was fine. I was driving it, and I was in college. I don't know shit. Like, I don't have a lot of money to take care of the car. I just kind of bought it because it's cool, and I liked it. I loved it, and I was just basically using it, and it never failed me. My second gen FC failed me right as I bought it. I paid $800 for it. It was 91 S5 Series 5 FC, and it died on me on the freeway. So that one had a blown engine. So it's really, like, I guess, yeah, I don't know what to say, but that's it. So basically, like, in reference, if you're shopping around, a low mileage is not indicative of how healthy it is. It's just basically gonna be in a higher chance that it's in a better condition. If you're gonna work on it, things are not rusted, stuff like that. But more or less, you're gonna do the same type of service compared to a higher mileage one. So that's just the nature of them. So I said a lot. Hopefully that's kind of like something that makes sense. Yeah, I kind of want. That's kind of like my point. I want to go through it because this is like, when people look at this number, I was like, wow, that's so much. There's a lot of nuances to that. It's not because you just paid it because the car is expensive to fix and stuff like that. It's not. It's not. It's just that because the car is old, you have to fix a lot of things to get it, back to current state of repair. So once you do this, then it's good for, like, another 10 plus years. So that's basically, like, that person's ownership has ended. Now it's your turn. You spent the money, then you can own it for that much, however amount of time you want. And then the next person, if it's, decades from now, then they have to do this again because it's just wear and tear. So yeah, there you go. I know these cars are so, I'm really glad that there's still shops like Sakibam that support these things, and I know I don't know how it is on other states, but it's getting so little now in terms of support. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Because it's a niche, it's a niche vehicle, niche. Yeah, it's a niche vehicle, so it's gonna be a specialized machine, so it needs a specialist, and that's fine. That's fine. It's an exotic in itself, you know. It's crazy how it is an exotic now. This RX-7. So you bring this to any Cars and Coffee, it's like the most car that's people are looking at. Let's close this thing. It's like it's bothering me. Like trying to air it out. I think it's cold now, so cold enough. There you go. The silhouette is just, yeah, with the wheels it kind of sets it off. Yep. All right, guys. There, 16 minutes in. Took a while. So, I don't know what else I have. So I have plans. Like I told you, I still have to do the fuel system, get that like super looked at. Sakibam was just very busy this time of year, so I need to bring it back there at a different time. That job is an expensive job because of how tedious it's going to be. They have to remove the upper plenum intake manifold and dig in from there the lines, the vacuum lines, and if they happen to, you know, something happens to break when they're removing something, they have to replace those. So I'm confident that nothing will break. I think everything in this engine bay is fresh enough that it's still flexible. Nothing is brittle or it will break. So I think cost wise, I'm expecting 3,000 to change and make sure all the injectors are good. I really want this car to push 300 wheel horsepower. That's it, 300. So it's rated at 255, I think, crank. So I just want it. Is it possible? What do you guys think? Is it possible on stock setup here with not much going on? I still need to pass smog, so California. I just wanted to push to close to 300. Like clean power, you know, nothing crazy. Something that I can still daily drive, or not daily drive, but like streetable, you know, not stressing the engine. I'm not looking for a lot of power. I have the bike for that. So I think 300 or close to it is safe. Yeah, I don't know what else I have planned for it. I'm just gonna hold on to it until like the value goes up or something. I don't think it's gonna be crazy like that. I don't think so. I didn't buy it for that. I bought it for like personal nostalgia. It's just a different time, timeless shape. Okay, that's it. I think I said everything I need to say. There it is. And if you guys have any questions and concerns or anything, just leave it in the comment section. I hope this helped you guys out in terms of like pricing things out with the RX-7. All right, so okay, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys for the next one.